AJ Parr, who is, I want to start out just introducing him there and let him give a little plug. I want him to, and he didn't want to do this, but I'm forcing him to plug his book. And his book just went #1 a day or two ago as a new release. It's #1 already, bestseller. Um, and so I want AJ, who's probably written what, a dozen books maybe, and 100 podcasts and interviews. You're a former journalist on many magazines and newspapers in South America and around the world. So, AJ, thank you, #1, for adding me to your book. And if you'd like to tell people about the book, kind of like a brief summary, because there's some people that haven't, believe it or not, there's some people that haven't got it yet. I don't understand that. Out of
Most people have.
hours, they should have had it, right? David has a copy already, so.
Okay, yeah, most people don't have it because it just came out. But I did include 12 near-death experiencers who had these experiences when they were children. So I included cases of people who died and came back from age 2 to age 9. And Reverend Bill was 8 years old when he had his experience. And I decided to add him because his experience was really unique, since he saw the following 50 years of his life when he was age 8. And he also foresaw the assassination of President Kennedy, the Vietnam War, and many other aspects of his personal life, including his wife. He actually saw her before he met her. He's still happily married to her. I think they met when they were 14 years old. And most of what he saw came true. The exact date when 50 years went by, he actually died. So this was a prediction of when he would die, and he had his second near-death experience. And now he has some extra time. He was giving some extra time so he could meet with us today, specifically. And well, hopefully he is carrying out his mission. But the book is called "The Girl Who Went to Heaven and Other Children's Near-Death Experiences." I called it "The Girl Who Went to Heaven" because that was the first scientific case studied by a medical doctor called Dr. Melvin Morse. This was a girl that in 1984, she drowned. And when her heart stopped, and Dr. Melvin Morse was specialized. He was a young pediatrics. He worked in pediatrics, and he resuscitated her. So when she came back, around 20 minutes had passed, and all the doctors said that she would suffer from brain damage. Okay, so she was sent over to another clinic, and all of a sudden, 3 days later, she woke up, and she was apparently normal. So when next time Dr. Melvin Morse saw her, by chance, accidentally in the clinic where she was going for a checkup, he asked her, "Hey, do you remember what happened when back at the pool?" And she said, "You mean when I met the Heavenly Father and Jesus?" And he freaked out, and he said, "Yeah, what can you tell me about that?" And she didn't say much that first time, but he set up an appointment with her, and she did tell her story. While she was dead, she went to heaven. She met Jesus. She talked to God, and they told her that she had to come back. She also saw dead relatives. She wondered around in the hospital, in the clinic, and she could see things that she was not supposed to see. She was supposedly in coma, but she knew that Dr. Morse had called over on the phone to his uh, superiors to ask for advice. She knew that they had stuck up tubes in her nose. She knew a lot of details that she was not supposed to know. So he wrote the first scientific paper, and it was published in a medical journal about near-death experiences in children. And this was the first case. So I interviewed him and I interviewed her. All the people that I mentioned in the books, I personally interviewed them, and I found some commonalities. And well, basically, I did this as a follow-up of my first book. But what really drives me is to tell people that death is not the end. If we're all going to die sooner or later, but these cases prove that consciousness survives the death of the physical body, and that we are eternal. And I also know that that was one of the main lessons that Reverend Bill got from his two near-death experiences, is that we are not this body, we are spiritual beings. That basically sums it up. I also have a YouTube channel, and I have written over 20 spiritual books. So that's basically if
We're gonna be bringing AJ back the next week or two, and we're going to have a discussion group. We'll probably have another near-death experiencer joining us, and we'll be talking about the power of love, which is the theme of this whole broadcast this summer. It's about the power of love. And so, AJ, I invited you on because near-death experience, even though it doesn't look like it's about that subject, it really is. Because everybody without exception that you interviewed all mentioned how loved they were.
Oh, yes. That's one of the greatest commonalities. They almost all of them met this light. Okay, they saw God as light, God, the source, or whatever you want to call it. This loving light, full of wisdom, full of love, full of peace. And it's something that is very common, this feeling of unlimited and unconditional love. So that's basically what we are. This whole universe is made of light, made of energy, and that energy is defined as love. It's also described as oneness. We are all one, everything is one, and love is what joins everything together. So thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, and that's why you're on here, because we're totally in sync. And when we talked the first time on a video chat, there was nothing that we were there was nothing we weren't in sync with. It was truly amazing. I didn't have to explain anything, so you understand the concept of oneness.
I also want to mention that I had a near-death-like experience over 30 years ago in 1991. I think I stopped breathing. I have suffered from apnea and I had asthma, but I woke up in the middle of the night. I was in this total dark place. I could not even see my hands. And then I became light. I became oneness, and I could look up, down, to the right, to the left, everywhere at the same time. And I felt that I was one with the universe. I had no thoughts. I had no recollection of being human. And I experienced oneness. And perhaps that's another commonality that I found. And that's why Reverend Bill and I have this communication, and we can understand each other.
There's only one. There's only one. And anyway, thank you, AJ. If
Oh,
some,
thank you, thank you.